Two of the latest MLB mock drafts have the Atlanta Braves taking shortstop Marek Houston out of Wake Forest, and he just might be the next Dansby Swanson for the Atlanta Braves. We'll talk about that on today's episode of Locked On Braves, so let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, and welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I'm your host, Jake Mastroianni, and you can follow me on social media at Shortstop Ball. Check out the podcast there at LockedOn_Braves on X and Locked On Braves on Instagram. If you're new and watching this on YouTube, please do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button, and leave me a comment down below. And if you listen on the audio version, and you can help out as well, just leave me a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. We still have more people that listen on the audio version, which is great. That's how I listen to my podcast. Thank you so much as well. But any support you give me there, I really do appreciate it. And thanks so much for making Locked On Braves your first listen of each and every day. It is our weekly podcast. We're going to look at the spotlight performances from the minor league level last week. We're also going to be looking at the upcoming MLB draft, where some of the latest mock drafts maybe have the Braves taking a Dansby Swanson replacement. So we'll talk about that on today's episode and preview for the upcoming D-backs series that we have this week in Atlanta. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Well, as I said, we're at the point of the season now. We're just a little over a month away from the MLB draft. We're in the middle of the college baseball postseason, which has been an entertaining weekend. It's still going on now, watching some of these games. So it's been a lot of fun seeing some of the best talent around the country. And again, NCAA regionals weekend, it's the best weekend for a baseball fan, in my opinion. So many games going on. It's just how many people view March Madness, but it's May Madness here, or June now. I absolutely love the NCAA regionals weekend. So I'm going to talk about some of the names that I saw there, but we're going to look at two of the latest mock drafts as well, because MLB Pipeline just put out their latest first round mock, and so did ESPN. And they both have the Atlanta Braves taking the same player, which it's probably not going to happen now, but very interesting. It's Marek Houston out of Wake Forest, and kind of seems like a Dansby Swanson fit mold, out of that same mold, if you will. So we'll talk about that on today's episode. And like I said, get into our minor league spotlight as well as the Diamondbacks preview. But as I said, MLB Pipeline, they put out their latest mock on May 29th. They also updated their top 200 rankings, and I won't go through all of that, but they did move up Cade Anderson over Jamie Arnold. Both of them were fantastic in the regionals this past weekend. Jamie Arnold struck out 13 batters. So I think it says more about Cade Anderson out of LSU. So those are going to be two of the top arms, along with Liam Doyle, who was good for Tennessee, and Kyson Witherspoon, who wasn't so good for Oklahoma, gave up 6 runs in the first inning. Now, those were unearned runs, but he was getting knocked around pretty well. And if you'll remember, I said I don't like Kyson Witherspoon in the first round because I think there's a lot of reliever risk there with him. Now, this is one start. He had been fantastic all year, but it was somebody that even if he were to fall to the Braves, again, I think if he fell to the Braves at 22, you might have to just go ahead and take him. But he is somebody, one of the starters out of the SEC at least, that I'm not as high on as other people. And again, it was a rough regional for him, but he's been a great pitcher. Like I said, it's a safe floor as a high leverage reliever. I just have my concerns about him as a starter because of his size. Now, I talked about the latest mock drafts from MLB Pipeline. They have the Braves taking Marek Houston, shortstop out of Wake Forest, in the upcoming draft, 22 overall. And note from Jim Callis on this pick, he says both Wahiwa Aloy and Houston could go in the teens, which means they might not make it to the Braves. The latter, talking about Houston, is the best defensive shortstop in the college crop, and he looked like a top 10 pick before slumping in April. So talking about Houston, who early on in the season looked like he might be a top 10 pick, best defensive shortstop in the class, which I love to hear because you see a lot of these shortstops in college and in high school too, that they're probably not going to profile as shortstops at the big league level. It's very rare. Even some of the shortstops that are at the big league level now, Mookie Betts included, aren't shortstops, but some of them just have to play it out of necessity. And someone can do it. It's just not do it at a high level. Like even a Nick Allen. Nick Allen has a OPS under 500 in the month of May, but he plays Gold Glove defense. So to hear somebody that is at the college level, can stay at the position and be a plus defender, I like that part of his game, certainly. The rest of this note from Jim Callis on the pick says the Braves feel like Irish's floor if he's still available. So talking about Ike Irish out of Auburn, if those could be the lowest that Ike Irish could fall, is basically what he's saying. And then he also goes on to say they've taken pictures with the previous 6 first-rounders, which could point to Schoolcraft High School lefty who's 6'8", or Southern Miss right-handed pitcher J.B. Middleton. But let's talk about Houston for just a second, because the ESPN mock that I'll go over to, they also had the Braves taking Houston with that 22nd overall pick. You read the profile on him on MLB Pipeline, sounds like a light-hitting utility player, and you're going to see the numbers for Marek Houston at Wake Forest, hitting over 350. I think it's 15 home runs, 60-plus RBIs, and you're going to say that looks like a pretty powerful bat come the next level. A couple of things to keep in mind. Wake Forest is a bandbox. It is a great place for hitters. He's also having a great regional, and Knoxville is also a very favorable spot for hitters. And college baseball overall is very hitter-friendly at the moment. So as always, take those numbers with a huge grain of salt, but the scouting reports on him have him being somewhat more of a light hitting utility player, maybe somebody at the major league level that could hit 10 to 15 home runs. And again, and I had read this, you read ESPN's write-up on Marek Houston and they comp Dansby Swanson. Before I even read that, just reading the scouting profile on Marek Houston, I said it sounds sort of like a Dansby Swanson mold. Somebody with a high IQ. Been watching him in the Wake Forest Tennessee game as I'm recording this on a Monday night. He's got that swag to him. He's got that IQ. Just a great defender, a great player, it seems like, overall. And it's just, will the bat come? And that was kind of the same question with Dansby, although obviously him going first overall, there was a lot more hope, I think, that the bat would be there for Dansby. But it took a while for Dansby. It took a long time for Dansby, really, until his contract year, to become the hitter that many thought he could be. But can Marek Houston be somebody that hits 250, 260, 10 to 15 home runs and plays Gold Glove level defense for you? I think that's a pretty safe bet for a guy like Marek Houston. And again, there is no guarantee that he gets to the Braves. And I don't know that I'm fully on board with that, because if the bat doesn't come around, I think best case scenario, you're looking at a Nick Allen, maybe a little bit more power than Nick Allen, but you're looking at a utility player, somebody that's a fringe everyday player. And do you want to take that with your first round pick? So it's a bit of a gamble if you're going to take Marek Houston in that first round, because there are concerns about the bat and just how good of a hitter he's going to be at the next level. While you do feel like it's a pretty safe floor because of the glove, that he'll be at the big league level because he can play all over and he's good enough to stick at shortstop. So you feel like there is a pretty safe floor there with him as being a super utility type of player. But will he hit enough to be an everyday player is certainly a question for Marek Houston. And I feel like his ceiling, if he does hit, it's a Dansby Swanson type. And that certainly is great. And it'd be great if you can get him at 22nd overall. Because like I said, Dansby was a first overall type of pick. MLB Pipeline ranks Marek Houston as their 12th best player. So again, might not even get to the Braves. He had 8 hits in his first 4 games. He's still playing in the regional right now as I record this against Tennessee. But in the first 4 games of the regional, he had 8 hits, 3 home runs, and a double. Like I mentioned, playing in Knoxville, very hitter-friendly park, just like his home ballpark there at Wake Forest. Irish was impressive in the Auburn regional over the weekend. He'd be the best bat, again, if he were to fall to the Braves. But as Jim Callis said, that feels like the floor, like the last possible spot that Ike Irish could fall to. He's ranked 21 on MLB Pipeline's big board. But I like Irish, obviously, as an Auburn fan. Even I'm not huge on Wahiwa Aloy. I talked about him a couple weeks ago. I watched J.B. Middleton start against Alabama, and he was good and not overly impressive. Not a guy that I'm just itching to get with the 22nd overall pick. He got tagged for 3 home runs. He had only given up 5 all year. Ball seemed to be flying out of the ballpark that day too, but he went 7. He struck out 8. Again, he was really good, plus fastball, plus slider. So there's a definite high floor there as a high leverage reliever, but just 6 foot, 178. I don't know how much more he grows into that, and it kind of taps his potential for me at the next level. So I'm not really in on JB Middleton as the pitcher they take here. Schoolcraft, another one that Callis mentioned. 6'8" lefty, committed to Tennessee, plus fastball, plus slider too. So that could be an arm to watch out for at the 22nd pick. They had Jace Laviolette out of Texas A&M slipping all the way to 20. And it wasn't a great year for Laviolette, who coming into the season was a consensus number 1, number 2 overall pick, but he has been sliding down the boards because it was a bit of a step back for him. But if he were to somehow fall to 22, even if there are some definite hit questions for Jace Laviolette, you just can't pass up that potential. Again, I don't think it's going to happen, but if it did, I mean, that would be the steal of the draft for the Atlanta Braves. But again, I doubt that's going to happen, but it was just interesting that in MLB Pipeline's latest mock, they had Laviolette all the way down at 20. My pick in our mock draft last week, Gavin Kilen, he went 16th in that mock draft. Daniel Pierce, the other player that I really like, the high school shortstop out of Georgia, he went 12th overall. So those are probably two of my favorite guys right now for the Braves. It probably goes Gavin Kilen, Daniel Pierce, Ike Irish are probably still three of my top choices for the Atlanta Braves at 22nd overall. I don't love the other names they had go right after in the mock draft. So hopefully one of those guys is available. Max Ballou, they had going at 38. He's the only one that really interests me of the names that I saw there. And then ESPN's latest mock, like I said, they also had the Braves taking Marek Houston at 22. They had Laviolette going at 16. They had Daniel Pierce going at 20, so that'd be oh so close. They had Ike Irish at 23. So if he's available at 22, he better not make it past the Braves. They had Schoolcraft going at 25. Kilen at 32. Again, shouldn't make it past the Braves. They had Anthony Iacin, another arm that I like, go at 34. And Marcus Phillips, another arm I like at 38. But I don't know that those are first-round arms for me. I don't know that's 22nd overall that I would want to take either one of those. I would love for them to fall back for the Braves' second pick. But those are some arms that I like. And then ESPN, Kyler McDaniel didn't have Middleton going in the top 40. And again, I'm assuming people are kind of like me, seeing there's a lot of reliever risk there for JB Middleton just because of his size. And that's a lot to risk in the first round for a pitcher that is coming in already with a lot of reliever risk. So those are some of the latest mock drafts. Like I said, Marek Houston, both outlets mocking him to the Atlanta Braves. Don't know that he'll make it to 22, but if he did, it's got a very much a Dansby Swanson type of feel to him. That same kind of IQ, baseball IQ, the swag to him. The defense, certainly it's just, will he hit enough to be an everyday shortstop is really the only question for Marek Houston. But if he can, he does, it'll be a great pick for the Atlanta Braves at 22 overall. But let me know some of those names, which ones interest you. Next, we'll take a look down at that minor league level to see which prospects could be coming on the rise to help out the Atlanta Braves sooner rather than later. We'll get into all of that here next. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades at supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at SupplyHouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at SupplyHouse.com. Plus, if you use our promo code SH5, you're going to get 5% off your first order. Again, that's promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order at supplyhouse.com. Thank you as always for making Locked On Braves your first listen of each and every day. Go check out Locked On MLB for your second listen of the day, solely getting you caught up with everything happening around the league. Also, you got the MLB Game Night guys bringing you the biggest highlights from each and every night. And make sure you subscribe here as well to Locked On Braves. We'll have 3 more episodes coming your way this week, including our mailbag episode on Friday. So looking forward to that the rest of the week here on Locked On Braves. Thank you all for the great comments. Had a lot of very positive comments on Monday's episode. You haven't given that a listen. We took a look back at the month of May where the Braves failed to get things done. And we looked forward to the month of June, which feels like a make or break month for the Atlanta Braves. So if you didn't give that a listen, go back and do so. But I did want to say big thank you. A lot of positive comments there for a show that was kind of depressing, and appreciate that. Appreciate everybody sticking around here with me through the frustration. So thank you for all the kind words you gave me on the last episode. All right, let's get into our minor league spotlight, starting with Gwinnett. They went 2-4 against Jacksonville last week, the Marlins AAA affiliate. Carlos Rodriguez, 6 for 18, 4 walks, a stolen base, a .455 on base percentage. Been saying it for a while. I think he's easily the next man up in the outfield if somebody is needed. I know they just got Azakar and brought him over and put him on the roster for Stuart Fairchild, but I feel like Carlos Rodriguez, not that he's tearing it up at AAA, but definitely not Jared Kelenic, who went 1 for 16 last week, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, got caught stealing. He's now played 30 games at AAA this year since getting sent back down. He is slashing .229, .328. It's not a terrible on base percentage, but just a .339 slug, 12.8% walk rate. Again, he's getting on base. He's taking his walks, 24% strikeout rate. That's not bad either, but an 87 WRC plus. So is it a case where the at-bats are better? Again, he's getting walks. He's not striking out quite as much. Is that a product of just facing AAA pitching that you're seeing those numbers a little bit better? And maybe he's just a bit unlucky. Maybe he's not making enough hard contact. I haven't been able to dive into the data that we've seen on the balls in play from Jared Kelenic. It's a .299 batting average on balls in play. So it's not like it's terrible luck there for Jared Kelenic, but he's not getting the results. He's not hitting for power. And again, only thing I can say about just looking at the base numbers is that at least he is walking a lot, and the strikeout rate is not terrible. I mean, it's less than 30%, so that's good for him. But again, is that a result of just facing AAA pitching, or is he actually having better at bats? And James McCann hit 2 home runs last week for Gwinnett. Haslett had a double, an .800 slug in 4 games, and Sandy Leon was 4 for 8 with a double. So the catching is strong at AAA too. With James McCann and Sandy Leon, the Braves have to have the best catching core in all of Major League Baseball. But just overall, not a lot else to get excited about. You follow Stripers Report on X, does a good job of keeping up with everything down at Gwinnett, and I've seen the frustrations from that account too, just talking about how tough it is watching that offense, just like it is at the Major League level, and maybe even more so. There's just not a lot of bats to get excited about at Gwinnett. And as we go through this, there's not a ton of bats to get excited about at all in the system. There's certainly some potential at the lower levels, but that's really the only cause for excitement right now, is that there is potential for some of these bats. But at the AA, AAA level, there is just not a lot to get excited about. Now, the pitching at Gwinnett, Nathan Wiles, 6 innings, 3 hits, no walks, no earned, 7 strikeouts. He started 9 games this year for Gwinnett, a 2.33 ERA, a 1.06 whip, and 53 strikeouts and 46 and a third innings. It feels like if the Braves need another starter, if somebody gets injured, they need a spot starter, whatever the case may be, Nathan Wiles is probably the next man up after Bryce Elder, who's now part of the rotation with AJ Smith-Shawver down. It feels like Wiles is the next man up. And I know he got a shot at it earlier this year, came on in a relief role, and it didn't go well. But he's throwing the ball really good at AAA. Honestly, feels like an Alan Winans type of thing where he's dominating AAA and may just be a 4A type of pitcher, but he's already on the 40-man roster. And as I said, if there is another opportunity to get a starter in there, Nathan Wiles is likely going to be the guy. Hurston Waldrop had been on a roll and hit a little bit of a speed bump, although maybe not all his fault. 5 1/3 innings. He gave up 8 hits, and that certainly is his fault. But he only walked 1 batter. He gave up 8 runs. Only 3 of them were earned. He did allow a home run, and he struck out 6 in the 5 1/3. So again, you take out that 8-run part, 5 1/3, 8 hits. That's still not great. Just 1 walk, though. That is good. Struck out over a batter an inning. Did allow a home run. 11 whiffs and 16 called strikes. That's a 32% CSW. Anything over 30 is what I'm looking for. So that's solid. Only threw 5 splitters in this start, and he was 3 for 3 on whiffs against that splitter. So as we've been talking about, as he is still mostly gone 4-seam slider, he did that in this one. He actually threw more curveballs than splitters in this start. But going more 4-seam fastball heavy and being able to locate that fastball, he located a lot of them on the black away from righties and down, and being able to do that and then throw that splitter off of it. I think you got to throw it more than 5 times, but being able to throw that splitter off of it is just going to make that pitch even more deadly. So I don't think it's a pitch that he just needs to scrap, and I don't think he's doing that. but it is still a devastating pitch for him. I mean, you threw it 5 times, you got 3 whiffs on it on all 3 swings against that pitch. It's obviously still doing something. He only threw 85 pitches in this one, but it really just was a 6-run third inning, which included 2 errors, and then it was capped with a 2-run home run that he gave up at the end. So just a disastrous inning for him. He gave up another run in the 4th inning, in part for a wild pitch, which again is his fault, and then an inherited runner scored in the 6th. So just not a great outing overall, certainly, but I think you could still see some of the good stuff in there. He had 44 pitches in the zone, 41 out, so you're still seeing him, be able to pound the zone a little bit better than he was before. Only 8 hard hit balls against. You see a guy that gives up 8 hits and 8 runs. You're probably thinking he gave up double-digit hard hit balls, but that wasn't really the case. So again, look, I was ready to get off the Hurston Waldrop train and say move him to a reliever. Made the mechanical adjustments. That seems to be being proven. I know giving up 8 hits, 8 runs in this one, even if just 3 of them were earned, feels like a step in the wrong direction. But just looking at the data and analytics of it, I think this was still a positive start for Hurston Waldrop. I'm not ready to say that what we saw over the last 2 or 3 starts was just a fluke, because I think this one is still more in line with those starts than maybe it looks at first glance. The rest of the pitching at Gwinnett: Davis Daniels, 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 walk, 1 earned, 5 strikeouts. I think he's probably behind Nathan Wiles as the next man up. Craig Kimbrel, 3 innings, no hits, did walk 2, but no earned runs, 4 strikeouts, and a save. And everybody keeps asking, where is he? Why have they not given him a chance? I mean, look, again, I'm not watching every outing from Craig Kimbrel. I know the velocity is not where it was back in his heyday, but it's as good as it's going to get. And the results are there. So at this point, I don't know what else he has to do other than, again, I don't know what else he can do, because either the coaching staff, and I said this on the Mailbag podcast on Friday, either the coaching staff just doesn't believe the stuff is real, or that the stuff is good enough to get out Major League hitting, or there's something funny going on here. There's something in the details of his contract. They don't want to pay him more money. I can't think that's the case, because even on the Major League deal, or even when they call him up and he's getting Major League pay, it's not really enough to justify keeping down an arm that you think can help you in the bullpen. And whether it's Montero, Blewett, or whatever the case may be, if Kimbrel's an upgrade, then he's an upgrade. The bullpen needs all the help it can get. And again, I'm not watching every outing. I am trusting the coaching staff on this one, but the fact the results have been there for Kimbrel, the bullpen's been kind of shaky lately, and he hasn't gotten an opportunity. It is a bit odd. Some other bullpen arms: Wander Suero, 2 shutout, 2 perfect innings, 4 strikeouts and a save. Giancarlo Lara, 2 innings, no hits, 1 walk, no earned, and 3 strikeouts. Ian Anderson, though, 4 innings, 6 hits, 5 walks, 3 earned runs, and 2 strikeouts. He's probably the next man up. I think he's behind Nathan Wiles and Davis Daniel at this point for Ian Anderson, until he one day, hopefully, shows better improvement with the command. At Columbus, they go 1-2 against Chattanooga. Just 3 games there last week, so not a lot really to go off of. Drew Compton and Ethan Workinger each had 3 hits. David McCabe had 2 hits, including both of them doubles, and 4 walks. And the pitchers, Blake Burkhalter, 5 innings, 4 hits, 1 walk, 2 earned, and 8 strikeouts. So good to see him with a solid start. He's been struggling a little bit. J.R. Ritchie goes 4 innings, 2 hits, 2 earned, 1 earned on a home run, did hit a batter, and 5 strikeouts. Blaine Abieta, an inning and a third and 4 strikeouts. Lucas Braun, 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 walk, 1 hit batter, 1 earned on a home run, and 3 strikeouts. Good to see him kind of bounce back. And then Brett Sears just keeps doing it, moved up to Double-A, still pitching well. 4 innings, 1 hit, 2 walks, a hit batter, no earned, and 3 strikeouts. At Rome, they go 3-3 against Asheville, the Astros High A affiliate. Will Verdung, 8 for 18 at the plate, along with 3 walks. Lisandro Espinosa, 7 for 23 with a walk and 4 stolen bases. And then Ambioris Taveras, 6 for 22, a double, 3 walks to 10 strikeouts. Still too many strikeouts last week, and had a stolen base. And then on the pitching side, Cedric D. Grand Prix, 6 innings, no hit baseball, 2 walks, did hit a batter. Everybody hits a batter. No earned runs and 10 strikeouts. Garrett Bauman, 6 innings, 7 hits, no walks, 3 earned, 6 strikeouts. Samuel Strickland, 4 innings, 2 hits, no walks, no earned, 5 strikeouts. Ryan Barassa, who's on this list every week, it feels like, 2 2/3 innings, no hits, no walks, no earned, and 4 strikeouts. And then Adam Mayer, another good outing, 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 walk. He also hit a batter, 1 home run, 2 earned runs, and 3 strikeouts. At Augusta, they go 4-1 versus Myrtle Beach, the Cubs single-A affiliate. John Hill, 8 for 18. He is starting to heat up at the plate. A double, 3 walks, 2 stolen bases. Did get caught stealing twice as well. Braves just can't run. It's something about their farm system. I don't know. They don't do a good job teaching base running, apparently. Luis Sanchez, 5 for 9 in 3 games with a walk. And on the pitching side, Raven Antonio, 2 1/3, 1 hit, 1 walk, no earned, and 6 strikeouts. Jacob Kruger, 5 innings, 5 hits, no walks, 1 earned, 6 strikeouts. Samuel Mejia, 3 innings, no hits, no walks, no earned, and 6 strikeouts. And Owen Hackman, 3 innings, 1 hit, no walks, a hit batter, no earned, and 5 strikeouts. At the FCL level, Manuel Dos Passos, 6 for 10, 3 doubles, a home run, and a walk. Junior Garcia, 5 for 12 with 2 doubles, a home run, and 2 walks. And then Jose Perdomo, rough week, 1 for 11, a walk, and 2 strikeouts, slashing 247, 313, 614, 7 walks to 12 strikeouts. I don't know if I got that slug right because 614 seems really high for a guy that just went 1 for 11 last week, but hasn't been that dominating performance that you really wanted to see for Jose Perdomo. I'm wondering if that 614 was the slugging percentage. But again, you were kind of hoping, and it's a lot to put on a young kid that didn't get to play last year, but you were kind of hoping he would come into rookie level and just dominate and hopefully get a quick promotion so that selfishly we could see him at Augusta and get some at-bats there. He's still just 18 years old. No reason to panic at all. That 614 was the OPS. So he's slashing 247, 313, 301 is the slug, a 614 OPS in 19 games for Jose Perdomo, 7 walks to 12 strikeouts. So hopefully he can pick things up here as we get going. Cam Caminiti off to a bit of a rough start too at the FCL level. 3 2/3 innings, 6 hits, no walks, which is good, but 3 earned, a home run, and 4 strikeouts. And came in good, has been good. 4 2/3 innings, 3 hits, no walks, hit a batter, 2 earned, and 3 strikeouts. And then the Dominican Summer League is underway, so we get some numbers from Diego Torrance. They only played 1 game so far, and he went 0 for 4 with a walk and a strikeout. And Anthony Gonzalez got the start, going 4 innings, a hit, 2 walks, no earned, and 2 strikeouts. Cannot stress enough how important it is for Diego Torrance, Jose Perdomo, some of these top international signings to really hit. And again, they're young. Not going to take too much stock one way or the other into what they do this year, but definitely want to start seeing some progress soon from those guys, because that's where the Braves have got to make hay. They missed out on that for years. They're focusing on pitching in the draft for the most part, although they've done a good job. Nacho, Drake Baldwin in recent drafts, Michael Harris and others in later drafts. They've done a good job finding some bats in the draft, but they got to hit on some of these international signings. So would be huge to see those guys really take off and get going. All right, next we'll preview the Diamondbacks series. They're struggling. Another team struggling coming in that's trying to get right against the Atlanta Braves, but they cannot let that happen. We'll get into that here next. So the Diamondbacks come in for a 3-game set this week. They are coming off back-to-back series losses to the Pirates and Nats. Familiar. Understand where you're at right now. And that's after getting swept by the Cardinals and losing a series to the Dodgers. So it has been a rough go for the Diamondbacks. They were 11-17 in the month of May, but they are 1-0 in June. They got a 3-1 win over the Nats on Sunday. So they got the Braves there. But at least they're not coming in on a huge losing streak like many teams are. And like I said, I hate when that happens because it just feels like they're inevitably going to win at some point. But it is a team that is struggling, and the Braves got to take advantage. You look at the Diamondbacks offense overall, 8th in average, 5th in on base, 4th in slugging, 4th in home run, just 21st in stolen bases, which is weird and odd to see because it feels like a team that runs a lot. 4th fewest strikeouts, 7th most walks. I mean, it is a top 5, top 6 offense. You look at who's hot right now. Randall Grichuk at 1254 OPS in his last 18 at-bats. He's mainly just going to face lefties, a bat that I've talked about for years for the Braves that I would love to get to just smash lefties. Gabriel Moreno, their catcher, is slashing 314, 351, 686 in his last 35 at-bats. Ketel Marte with an 891 OPS in his last 39 at-bats. And Lourdes Gurriel and Gino each have an OPS over 800 in their last 2 weeks. Hopefully Gino doesn't have another 4-home run game against the Atlanta Braves. Corbin Carroll's been struggling with the bat lately, hitting just 140 with a 585 OPS in his last 12 games. But the offense had the second best OPS in the month of May, but their pitching staff was the 28th worst in the month of May. So pretty much the opposite of the Atlanta Braves, but even worse because their pitching staff was horrible and their offense, which was second best, was not enough to overcome that. So again, you want to ask yourself the question, would you rather have a great offense or a great pitching staff? Maybe you'd rather just have a great pitching staff that would definitely keep you in some games. But that is why the Diamondbacks have struggled so much lately. You look at the bullpen, their top three arms lately have been Jalen Beeks, Shelby Miller. They just got back Justin Martinez. He has 3 appearances since coming back. He got 2 runs in that first outing, but he's had back-to-back scoreless appearances since then, including getting that save on Sunday. So those will be the arms to watch out of the bullpen. The pitching matchups for this series, you got Spencer Strider going up against Zac Gallen. Gallen had back-to-back really good outings against the Mets to start May, but then he's gone 4, 6, 4, and 5 earned runs in his last 5 starts. Maybe the Braves should trade for him and just to have him pitch against the Mets. Maybe that's a strategy they should go for. It's been a rough year overall for Gallen, but he has a 4.13 expected ERA. So that's indicating that things could turn around for him. Hopefully the Braves aren't the one to help him do that. Strider was coming off what looked like it was going to be the best start of his season, but then he kind of just ran out of gas. Does he have a little bit more in the tank this time? It is also a team that's not going to strike out a lot. So can he, deal with the contact and get some weak contact and play from this Diamondbacks team and go deeper into the game? And then you got Chris Sale versus Merrill Kelly. Kelly was really good when he faced the Braves in Arizona. He's given up 4 earned, though, in each of his last 2 starts. And the case with Merrill Kelly, he is just going to pitch. He's going to keep you off balance, and you can't adjust, then he is going to eat you up. And then the finale, it's Grant Holmes versus Brandon Pfaadt. Pfaadt, who was also great against the Braves in Arizona, and at that time, it looked like he was having a breakout. It's been a rough go for him since then. He had a really rough May, and in his last outing, he did not record a single out and gave up 8 runs on 6 hits and 2 hit batters. CJ Abrams got hit twice in that one inning as the Nationals put up a 10 spot and then almost blew it. You cannot count out this Diamondbacks offense. It is that good. The pitching is going to have to be on point, and hopefully that Diamondbacks pitching continues to struggle and the Braves offense can get going. We talked about it a lot yesterday. This is a crucial month for the Atlanta Braves. They have got to turn things around, at least 15 or 16 wins this month to try to get to or above 500. That should be the goal. That should be the expectation for this team. And it's got to start on Tuesday at home against a struggling Diamondbacks team. But that would do it for this episode of Locked On Braves. Thanks so much for joining me today. Hit that subscribe button, thumbs up button, leave me a comment down below. Subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcast, and we will talk to you next time.